What is up, YouTube? Being a Division I athlete and a personal trainer for the past 4 to 5 years, working in a multitude of luxury gyms and sports training facilities, I've been around a bunch of different fitness trackers and myself lifting hundreds and hundreds of pounds to running a lot of miles and hiking, swimming, everything in between. I've tried a bunch of different fitness trackers from an Oura Ring, Apple Watch, Garmin, Whoop, Fitbit. I've tried them all and I've researched them to figure out how accurate they are, the prices, who they are for, and who are they not for. Today's video is going to be about that, so let's get into it. Let's start off with the Apple Watches. They're one of the most common devices that I've seen people wear in the gym and sports, and I have the Apple Ultra 2 on my wrist right now. The Apple Watch is great. It's a great series, especially if you have an iPhone. They connect seamlessly like Apple does with most of their products. The calorie tracking is different based on each workout. They have a whole library of different workouts. Does everything a watch does, tell you the time, timers, stopwatch, but this one tracks your activity as well, so I can see my total active minutes based on my age, weight, height. I can see how many minutes each day in green that I've actually been in a burning state of my heart, actually working out, total active calories, and then total calories in a day. So active calories are coming from, again, when I'm working out, my heart rate is elevated. And in blue, I can actually see how many hours that I've stood in that day. Just standing up in 1 hour for like a second, I think tracks an hour. So not that accurate, but it does tell you how often that you've been standing throughout the day. In the fitness tracking section, it gives a detailed breakdown of the amount of stairs that you've climbed that day and distance traveled in miles. The watch is super customizable as well through the app and on the watch itself. You can change different watch faces, you can add friends, and you get a notification like when my friend or my client completes a workout, I get a notification, I can see what they did and how they did. You can change the settings on how much information you want to display if you want to display it at all, but it's a cool setting to make a little small community and knowing that other people are working out and they can see when you're working out and what you did and what you accomplished. Fact checking. Along with the personalized information of the age, height, weight, and using a couple different sensors, as well as a heart rate monitoring on your wrist, your radial pulse, it'll give a breakdown and try and estimate the amount of calories that you're burning each day or each activity. It is one of the more accurate devices on the market. Again, each of these devices is going to be accurate more in one exercise or a couple of different exercises instead of being accurate overall. But Apple has seen from studies to be around 15 to 20% off market. So if it's telling you burned 100 calories on, say, rowing, maybe you only burned 80. But whereas walking, it can be a little bit more accurate because there's less variables. The thing with Apple Watch is the battery life. So on the lower tier ends of the watches, the intro watches, the battery life is 18 hours. And even on the top one that I'm wearing, it's 36 hours. So if you wear it overnight, you're pretty much gonna have to charge it the next morning or not wear it the next day. So sleep tracking isn't the greatest benefit coming from an Apple Watch. That's why I'm wearing an Oura Ring as well, and we'll get into the Oura Ring soon. Now on to Fitbits. When I got into fitness tracking in college, I used a Fitbit. Fitbits are cheaper, they're a lot easier to sort of get into fitness tracking if you don't have an iPhone especially, and they have a great community online. There's a lot of people that use Fitbits, and the community has a lot of different advice, tools, and recommendations from thousands and tens of thousands of people that use the Fitbit. The Fitbit has a longer battery life, so you can get some sleep tracking from it. Fitbit is using the same thing as Apple Watch, you know, the user profile of their age, weight, height, as well as motion sensors and heart rate data to try and give an accurate display of how many calories and activity you're burning on each movement. Fitbit is generally considered reliable with a 10 to 15% off. So if you're looking at doing 100 calories on rowing, maybe you only did 90. But based on the very type activity, if you're using it for walking, running, lifting, it's pretty much going to be accurate just as the Apple Watch. Next up is going to be the Oura Ring. The Oura Ring, I've had this thing for about 2 years. I love it. It does track activity, but it isn't very good at tracking activity. The placement on the finger, it just doesn't pick up the pulse the right way, and there's just too many other variables that it's just not picking up. What it is great for is sleep and recovery tracking. I wear this every night when I go to bed, and in the morning I wake up and it gives me a detailed breakdown of my recovery from the day before based on the activities. And it can also take my plugin from my health data that's getting from my Apple Watch on my iPhone. And so it can give a more detailed information on what I did expenditure-wise and feed that into what its recommendation is how to recover better, as well as sleep, timing, how long it takes to get to bed, my temperature at night. It is a full array of data to make you sleep better. But I do think that just relying on it for the activity tracking is a loss because it doesn't do it as accurately. That's why I'm wearing the Apple Watch and the Oura Ring. The calorie tracking on the Oura Ring can be as high as 30% off. Like I said, it's just in a weird place and it's more focused on the recovery and sleep aspect rather than the actual activity burning. So I love the Oura Ring, but if I'm looking to get activity tracking out of it, I'm pairing it with something that's better at doing that. The Oura Ring is good for overall daily normal activity, but tracking high intensity workouts or different variations of workouts that are more complicated, it's not as accurate and can be up to 30% off. Whoop. I didn't have a Whoop very long. They do have a great 1-month trial where they'll send you the watch. You can try it out for free. If you don't like it, send it back, or you go right into their subscription model. And the Whoop is used by a lot of athletes. I've just seen a lot of golfers, all different types of athletes in different sports trying to use the Whoop, and I've heard nothing but amazing things from it. It provides detailed analytics on recovery. Whoop is trying to take the Oura Ring and the watch and bring them together, the best of both worlds. They're using heart rate variability, resting heart rate, and the sleep data that's tracked to give you a better understanding of your strain level, they call it. So how much your body is strained from yesterday and how much sleep and recovery and activity you need to do to sort of set yourself up for the best you. Whoop can be 10 to 15% off for specific workouts, but its main focus is strain. What did you do yesterday and how did your body recover from it? And what do you need to do today to make sure that you're recovering better? It's really focused on recovery and telling you what your body needs from what you did. Along with the Oura Ring is more focused on the sleep. The Whoop is more focused on what you did in the workouts previous, combined with the sleep and how that will impact your training for the next day. I didn't stick with the Whoop watch because it doesn't do what normal watches do. I wanted a watch that could actually tell the time, do a timer, stopwatches, and it doesn't have a face on it. Last but not least are the Garmin watches. Before wearing the Apple Watch, I had a Garmin Fenix 7X Pro Sapphire, mouthful, but it was a $1,000 watch and it was souped up with everything. I loved it because the battery life on it could last at least 30 days. So if you're taking this out into the mountain range, if you're a big outdoor person, love running a lot on trails and exploring new areas, or even fishing, golf, it has all these maps that you can upload into the watch and see real time where you are in relation to all these other things, and it can track very well the distance and sort of give you better split times. All things that come with running and long distance endurance training. Love the watch for this. They provide a lot more metrics and features for advanced athletes or people that are very serious about what their activity is. Of course, it does cover general training, but if you're investing into this watch, you are probably investing a lot of time into training and want to get the best fitness tracking, basically a supercomputer of training on your hand. Garmin's are using heart rate data, the same bodily functions of age, height, weight. They're also using GPS coordinates and motion sensors to provide an accurate calorie expenditure. Depending on how you wear the device and what activity you're doing, they can be up to 10 to 15% off on the accurate calorie expenditure. So in summary, the deviations of accuracy on calorie tracking is this. Apple Watch is 15 to 20%, Fitbit is 10 to 15%, Oura Ring is 20 to 30%, and Garmin watches are 10 to 15%. This is all based on what activity you're doing, where you're wearing this item. Each device has its strengths and limitations based on you personally and what you want to get out of the watch. Let's go into why you should or should not buy each of these products. The Apple Watch is versatile. It's not just a fitness tracker, it's also a smartwatch. It allows you to get different apps, integrate with your phone a lot more, and you can basically leave the phone behind and have cellular on your watch so you don't even need the phone. as well as all the benefits that I said about its fitness tracking. It integrates very well with the phone and all these different fitness tracking apps, or even if you want to change the watch face on your watch. There's a bunch of different cool apps and integrations that allows you to seamlessly connect with all these different variables. It's also very relatively accurate compared to the rest of the watches that are here. Why you shouldn't buy an Apple Watch. Apple Watch falls in the middle range, but if you're looking at the lowest entry, it's on the higher ticket price compared to other watches in the market from Apple for Apple. So it pairs really well with iOS, but I don't have an Android, so I'm assuming that it doesn't really work and talk to or listen to Android phones as well. So this would be a strong consideration if you're thinking about getting an Apple Watch and you don't have an iPhone. And finally, the battery life. It's just so short. You have to charge it every day or every other day or else it's dead. It's a really inconvenience, but you just have to stay on habit about charging it. And that's really the main drawback of the Apple Watch. Before I got an Apple Watch, I was apprehensive because I just didn't want another phone on my wrist. But honestly, you can turn all of the features that you don't want off. You don't have to have notifications on of getting texts and emails or stock movements. You can turn all that off. If you just want the watch and track your activity, which I do, then you can do. If you want a second phone on your hand, you can do that as well. Why you should buy a Fitbit. They have a lot cheaper options, so it's an easier way to get into the market compared to other watches. It's super user-friendly, easy to set up, easy to use. I think the Apple Watch is as well, but the Fitbit has less of a barrier to entry since it can work with both Android and iPhone flawlessly. Another reason to buy is the community. Like I said, it's a huge community. A lot of people use them. There's a lot of tips, tricks, hacks in their community, and a huge base of people that, the same with the Apple Watch, you can view their activity tracking and keep up to date with your friends, family, or even different groups that you want to stay a part of and see what they're doing on and off the court. Why you should not buy a Fitbit. While there are a lot of features on it, it does lack a lot of features as well. Compared to the Garmin, Apple Watch, Whoop, it's not giving you as much details on your strain from the day before. It doesn't have a lot of the different types of activity, exercising for specific workouts. But if you're just looking for a general tracking device, this is fine. But if you want something more detailed, more high tech, the Fitbit isn't going to be that. Fitbits, in my opinion, also look a little bit ugly. They look cheap. They are cheaper than the other smartwatches, and they definitely look the part when you're looking at them. Finally, the accuracy of Fitbits. Again, if you're trying to track a different workout that isn't listed on its available spread, then it's going to have a lot harder time of accurately tracking your expenditure, and you're going to have to upgrade or look to a different model to try and get those features for specific activities like long distance running, hiking, golf, biking, triathlon. It's just not going to give you as enough detailed information. Why should you buy an Oura Ring? It gives great detail on sleep and recovery tracking every night and the variables that go into it, so you can actively change what you're doing to get a better night's sleep and feel more rested. The price, it's on par with the other fitness trackers on the market right now. It's not as great for fitness tracking, so when you actually break it down and look at the price of if you had to buy a ring and a fitness tracker, it's kind of a high price point, but the details that you get from your sleep and activity are unmatched. The rings are also very stylish. I have lifted a lot with mine. It's scratched up and still works like a charm. I've rack pulled, deadlifted, holding it in my hand with hundreds of pounds, and it hasn't broke, merely scratched, still good as new. Why you shouldn't buy an Oura Ring. If you're not looking for just sleep and recovery, this isn't the product for you. It does not do a great job at tracking fitness and activity across the board. And it is a pricier point when you want sleep tracking and recovery tracking and activity tracking. They're two different things. The Oura Ring does one, and if you want to do the other greatly, you're going to have to buy something else. So you're looking at a higher price point than just the ring. Why you should buy a Whoop. Whoop has athletes in mind first. They are focused on high multitude of workouts, the strain that your body deals with, from expending yourself in those workouts, and then how it and what it needs to recover for the next day. The subscription model that they have for payment is easy to start with the watch. The community support with Whoop, like Fitbit, is great. There's a vast amount of people with a lot of data, doctors, scientists that are using this and uploading their thoughts and opinions based on the data that they're seeing, and you can go view this in their community and of other people that are really focused on being the best at their craft or improving on any specific exercise that they did the day before. Why you shouldn't buy a Whoop. While the subscription cost makes it easier to get into the Whoop, it does add up over time when you're looking at it. Over a year, you could buy one watch with that same thing, but if you're looking over 10 years, you could buy 10 watches for the price of one. Whoop's advanced metrics and data can be overwhelming for someone that just wants to do daily general tracking. Garmin Watch. Why should you buy a Garmin watch? Garmin offers a wide array of different fitness tracking watches, starting from the bare minimum all the way up to the upper echelon military style watches. They have a high battery life. The GPS works really well. You can download songs, music onto the watch. You can leave the phone behind, don't even have to worry about it. And it's pretty detailed, especially for endurance athletes. The rugged design makes it look awesome, like a normal watch, but behind the lens is a supercomputer. The durability and design make it great for doing all those crazy outdoor activities that you'd be interested in doing when buying a Garmin. Why you shouldn't buy a Garmin. They are at a higher price point when you want the great stuff out of the Garmin. They're also very complex. It's a lot of data, just like the Whoop. The Garmin is even more data because there's so many more activities that it tracks, very detailed. So if you're looking for something more simple, the Garmin is not that. It is very complex. And when I had the Garmin, I had one of the very nice ones, and trying to work with two different apps on the iPhone connecting to the watch, it was kind of a headache. I just wanted something simple that tracks my activities. It's not as user-friendly. Let's compare the new prices for every device that I've said. Apple Watch, you're looking to spend starting at $249, and it can take you all the way up to $1,249. So it is a wide array. The one that I have, the Ultra, was around $800, and I love it. Fitbit watches on the low end can start at $99, and up to the top are around $399. Remember, you get what you pay for. The Oura Ring base model starts at $299 and can scale up to $549, but keep in mind, you will only get basic information if you do not pay the subscription model on the app as well, which is around $6 a month. And that'll give you all the detailed information that I said. If you're not going to pay the $6 a month and keep that subscription, there's almost no point in my eyes in buying the Ring. So that is something that you have to keep in mind when you're looking at cost. The Whoop has no upfront cost, but it is a subscription model that you can pay monthly or pay in full. The bottom tier is $20 a month, which equates to $239 a year, or you can pay 2 years, and that will break down to around $30 a month or $399 for 2 years. Garmin watches have an entry level thing at $80, or they can scale up to $1,900. The one I had before this, the Fenix 7X Pro Sapphire, was around $1,000, super complex. It was just too much for me in terms of complexity, so that's why I switched to the Apple Watch. But if you're looking for those endurance and high-tech workouts, Garmin might be for you. So to wrap it up, in my opinion, the best for recovery tracking is going to be the Oura Ring and the Whoop. The best for activity, you're looking at Apple Watch, Garmin, and Whoop. I personally would go for the Apple Watch or the Garmin if I'm focused more on activity training. Just think about what activities you do, how complex. Is it walking and lifting, or is it running marathons and golfing and all these different activities on a consistent basis? Maybe you want more Garmin. If it's just the normal stuff, maybe you just want accurate information and can have access to your phone on your wrist. That's the Apple Watch. Fitbit, if you have a lower price budget, then maybe that's where you start. But the Whoop is also a great option. It's just, can you bear down paying that much money over that period of time to keep that much data? Do you need that much data in your life? Sometimes too much data is overkill. I'll put the links to everything that I spoke about down below. And if you buy something, or if you have one of these already, please leave a comment below and tell me what you have and the top thing you like about it and the top thing you don't like about it. Until next time, peace.